Hello. My topic for MPC reform is bid protest, specifically a separate and expedited bid protest mechanism for smaller procurements, that is, procurements less than or equal to 50,000. I would like to see businesses have an opportunity to challenge smaller solicitations or contract awards. Article 9 of the current MPC provides for aggrieved bidders, offerers, and contractors to protest solicitations and contract awards. However, Section 9-505 of the current MPC does not create a separate bid protest procedure for smaller procurements. Having a separate and expedited process for smaller procurements will help to enhance public trust. Still speaking about the current MPC protest modality, I would like to answer a few questions. Number one, who can protest? Under the current MPC protest modality, an actual or prospective bidder, offerer, or contractor aggrieved in connection with a solicitation or contract award may file a protest with the Chief Procurement Officer or the head of an agency. When to protest? 14 days is the timeline for an aggrieved bidder, offerer, or contractor to file a protest when facts of the matter shall have been known. Forms of decision. Decision may come either through a mutual agreement between the contractor and the agency or a formal decision by the contracting officer, the head of agency, or designee of other officer. The intent of an aggrieved bidder, offerer, or contractor is to seek specific remedy or remedies. One of those remedies is the stay of a procurement action, whereby the aggrieved bidder, offerer, or contractor gets a fair hearing to ensure that the processes were fair and transparent. This doesn't only restore public trust and confidence in the procurement system, it guarantees that taxpayers' dollars are spent wisely. Speaking to a halt in the procurement action, there are two remedies under Section 9-202 of the current MPC. There's a remedy prior to a war where the aggrieved bidder, offerer, or contractor is seeking that the proposed contract award gets cancelled or is revised to comply with applicable laws. Under the same section 9-202, there's a remedy after a war. And under this remedy, if the person or entity that awarded the contract did not act in bad faith or acted fraudulently, the contract may be ratified and affirmed. Otherwise, the contract may be cancelled. When the contract is cancelled, a contractor may be awarded compensation for actual expenses reasonably incurred under the contract, plus reasonable profit prior to termination. If the person or entity that awarded the contract acted fraudulently or in bad faith, the contract may be declared null and void, or the contract may be ratified and affirmed in the best interest of the state without prejudice to the state's right to such damages. Now we've come to the meat of my proposed reform to the current MPC, and specifically a separate and expedited protest mechanism for smaller procurements, that is, procurements less than or equal to 50,000. Looking at the current MPC, it only has a timeline of 14 days filing requirement when the facts of a protest shall have been known. My proposal is that the 14 days be reduced to 10 days filing requirement. Notice of protest filed. The current MPC has no timeline to notify all participants that a protest has been filed. I'm proposing that the CPO notifies all participants of protest within 2 working days after receipt of a protest action. Commencement of protest review. The current MPC has no timeline. I'm proposing that protest review happens within 1 working day after notice. Issuance of protest decision. The current MPC has no timeline. I'm proposing that protest decision must come within 5 working days. protest decision appeal. The current MPC has no timeline. I'm proposing that protest decision appeal must happen within 3 working days. Review and acceptance of protest appeal. The current MPC has no timeline. I'm proposing that review and acceptance of protest appeal happens within 3 days. So in sum, I'm proposing that 14 days be the timeline for a decision for all protests filed regarding smaller procurements. Next, let's learn of some good lessons that come with an expedited bid protest process. It helps an agency to self-evaluate. It helps an agency learn its own mistakes to avoid repetition of similar ones. It helps an agency attain goals in a timely manner. It helps an agency to avoid reputational damage. And it helps an agency also to train its own staff in new processes. Separate process for small procurement upholds the principles of equity and fairness for all. One of the best places to look, for example, is the Armed Services Board of Contract Appeals, which has a faster and simpler procedure for contract claims under 50,000. Specifically, look to Rule 12. Having spoken about the benefits of an expedited bid protest procedure, I would like to highlight that it comes with its own burden of cost. Small businesses will have to commit enormous time for records review, even when the agency makes those available. Small businesses will encounter increased attorney fees. They will encounter financial loss, and they will encounter disruption of business operations because they now have to attach a significant amount of staff to making sure that their bid protest action is sustained. Finally, I would like to state that bid protests are important because they ensure that accusation processes are fair, competitive, and they protect the integrity of agencies and build trust between contractors and agencies. Responding to bid protests can require agencies to reassess their procurement process for improvement, thereby resulting in a competitive, equitable, and transparent procurement procedure. Thank you.